everyone, and welcome back to Real English. In this video we're going to be sticking with the Toeic exam, and I'm going to be giving you some general tips and advice basically to help boost and improve your marks. So this video will be perfect for you if you've been doing some practice tests by yourself, or you've been doing Toeic for a little while now and you want to improve your marks. So without further ado, let's have a look. So my first tip is very obvious, but some people miss some of these things. Practice makes perfect. What do I mean by this? Practice, practice, practice. You need to be doing lots of practice Toeic tests. And I mean, before you sit the exam, I would recommend you do at least one of their one practice test book. That's like 8 practice tests at least, maybe even 16, and especially with the Toeic exam more so than in other exams. And this is because in the Toeic, one of the biggest issues I think in this exam is time, especially in the second part. The 75 minutes for the reading comprehension is really quite difficult. You have the 40 grammar kind of questions to do, another 12 with based on emails, and then another 48 reading based, which is I think about 20 odd texts to read through. And this takes a lot of time which you don't really have. So one reason why you need to practice is you need to get used to doing all of this in 75 minutes. Also, the listening part is very tiring. At least I find it tiring when I do it. I mean, part 1, part 2, it's fine, it's kind of straightforward, but after part 3, listening to conversation after conversation, it is quite tiring, even for me. And I think that unless, what a lot of students do is they say, okay, I'll do some practice, and they sit down, they do part 1, they do part 2, and then they go off and do something else. And then they take the exam, and they're not used to sitting there through part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. And it's tiring. And all my students come out of the exam and they said, whoa, thank goodness we had practiced, because there were a lot of other people in there who were really struggling. And you really do need to do this. Also, with the readings, it's the same kind of thing. As I said, there are quite a few texts, and remember, with varying levels. And if you find a text which is slightly above your level, obviously it's going to take you longer to understand what they're talking about in this text. So what I always advise people to do, and again this will be in my reading video as well, is to kind of identify these texts and leave them and come back to them at the end if you have time. Also, if you're doing tests, you will kind of have a rough idea. One reason why the Toeic has got a very good reputation is because all their tests are on the same kind of level. All the tests I've seen and my students have taken, they never come out saying, oh, that was harder than the last one. They're always perfectly leveled. So if you've been achieving between 600 and 650 in your practice tests, as long as you're sticking to the time limits, there's no reason why in the exam you shouldn't get the same kind of marks. So this is another reason. It gives you a very good idea of what kind of marks, and if you're going to achieve the mark that you require. Alright, eliminate answers. Because the Toeic is a multiple choice test, I can't stress this enough. Eliminating answers, especially if you're not 100% sure, or even if you have no idea, will help get you marks. Simple as that. So it is possible to work out or improve your chances of getting the right answer by using what you do know to find out what you don't know. Because if you're sitting there and go A, B, C, D, well, I'm 90% sure it's not B, and there's no way it's D, so that means it's got to be B or C, one of these two. And then you're 50-50, you read the question again, and you'll probably come up you've got a 50-50 chance anyway of getting the right answer. So eliminating answers really helps you in this exam. Scanning for information. Again, this is mainly for the reading. When you don't have time, you can kind of scan for maybe words or specific information, and just go like this and find that word or a synonym of that word in the text. And you do this by underlining and then scanning through the text. This is a very quick way, especially for those who are at a high level. When you come across the easier texts, you'll very quickly be able to find the answers just by scanning. Timings. This is very, very important, and again it comes down to practice. You have 75 minutes in the reading part of the exam for 100 comprehension questions. Now this, I'm going to give you some timings here, and this is a general rule because I cannot stress this enough. Every student is different. I've had students that just fly through the reading and they have no problem there at all, but when it comes to the grammar part, it takes them a lot longer because grammatically they're much weaker. I've had other students who fly through the grammar in 10 minutes, and when it comes to the reading, whoo, they run out of time. And you know, this is the thing, you need to come up with timings that you are happy with, and as long as you can complete the exam in 75 minutes comfortably, that is what's important. So these are general timings. Part 5 and 6, I would say 30 minutes. Okay, so these are the grammatic parts of the exam, really. And you should, even 30 minutes is quite a long time. You hopefully will be able to get it done in, you know, in a shorter time than this. However, having said that, don't rush through it because you're talking 52 marks out of the 100 come from this part of the exam. So don't hurry through it. Part 7, which is all the reading texts, and again there's a video about reading, so if you're interested in specifically how to boost your score here, please watch the reading video. I would say 45 minutes, and if you can get that up to 50 minutes, that's even better by saving time on the other part, because it does take time, especially when you come across the readings, and especially the readings at the end of the exam where you don't have one text, you actually have 2 texts and then 5 questions. So yeah, you need to get your timing straight before you go into the exam and know exactly what you're doing. And the final reminder is, you can't do the reading quickly. My point is here that if you spend, instead of say 30 minutes in part 5 and 6, say you spend like 50 minutes on this part of the exam, that's only going to leave you like 35 minutes to do the reading. Or 25 minutes. 25 minutes actually. Maths ain't my strong point. But you'll never do the reading in that amount of time. It's just not enough. So, you know, the other thing that some of my students prefer doing is they start with the reading and then go to the other part of the exam. Again, bearing in mind that if you're doing this, you've got to be very careful, because it doesn't mean that you can just spend like 65 minutes doing the reading and then that leaves you 10 minutes to do all the rest. That's not very smart either. So you can see just how important time management is in this exam. Get your timing straight, know how much you're spending, and be strict with yourself. If you do that, you'll be fine. Okay, so I hope this video has been useful. There's going to be lots of other videos coming about each part of the exam and tips of how to boost your marks in each part. So if you like what you do, please share us. You can find us on Twitter. You can also see us on Facebook and everything like that. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.